and I will make a presentation of the book, The Perks of Being a Wallflower. And first, I will give a brief summary of the novel. And The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky is a novel about a teenage boy who's named Charlie, and the entire book is built up by letters that Charlie has written to an unknown friend. So we don't know who this friend is. And Charlie writes about his everyday life, which is a typical teenage life with many common teenage problems. And I think that the themes of the book are themes as friendship and love and just like common teenage problems and like how it is to be a teenager. Um, yeah, and I think that the main idea of the book is to illuminate all of these common teenage problems and maybe to tell like teenagers that it is okay and that is totally normal like to deal with these problems that Charlie deals with. And also like to illuminate like this thing to feel lonely because in the end of the book no in the beginning of the book Charlie feels really lonely, and I think that like kind of the idea of this book is to say that many teenagers probably feel lonely. Um, yeah, and then I will actually move on to my passage of to my reading. And I've chosen to read page 162, line 12. God, he was mad. I'd never seen Patrick like that before. Brad sat quiet for a second, but his buddies kept egging him on by pushing his shoulders. Brad looked up at Patrick and said softer and meaner than the last time, I called you a faggot. Brad's buddies started laughing even harder. That is, until Patrick threw the first punch. It's kind of eerie when the whole room gets quiet at once, and then the real noise starts. The fight was hard, a lot harder than the one I had with John last year. There was no clean punching or things you see in movies. They just wrestled and hit. And whoever was the most aggressive or the most angry got in the most hits. In this case, it was pretty even until Brad's buddies got involved, and it became 5-on-1. That's when I got involved. I just couldn't watch them hurt Patrick, even if things weren't clear just yet. I think anyone who knew me might have been frightened or confused. Except maybe my brother. He told me what to do in these situations. I don't really want to go into detail, except to say that by the end of it, Brad and two of his buddies stopped fighting and just stared at me. His other two friends were lying on the ground. One was clutching the knee I'd bashed in with one of those metal cafeteria chairs. The other one was holding his face. I kind of swiped at his eyes, but not too bad. I didn't want to be too bad. And yeah, that was actually what I wanted to read out loud. And first I will describe what's happening in this passage. And here Charlie describes a scene that happened at their school where Brad called Patrick a faggot, and then of course Patrick got really pissed and angry, and then they're starting to fight, and then Charlie gets involved because he thinks it's unfair because it's a fight between Brad and all of his buddies against Patrick, so it's 5-on-1. And then Charlie gets involved and he helps Patrick, and I've chosen this passage because I think that this is one of the first time where Charlie like kind of really like gets involved in something, and he kind of participates in something, and this is something that he's written a lot about in the book, and that he mentions many times that he has to like participate. So this is kind of one of the first times where I think that he's not just being like a wallflower, but he's participating and he's getting involved in something. yeah, so that's why I've chosen this passage. And I think that this passage, like, kind of, or this scene kind of signifies the friendship between Patrick and Charlie, because the scene really shows that Charlie cares and loves Patrick because he's helping Patrick, and he's like standing up for Patrick and helping him out in this situation, which a friend would do. Yeah, which is what a friend would do. Um, yeah, and then I would actually just give a final comment. And all in all, I think that this is a really great book because, like, I think that it's really good for our what is it called? Like, because it really approaches out to us students, because um, it touches all the common teenage problems, and we are teenagers, so it approaches perfectly to us students. So all in all, I think that it is a very good book.